Hello and welcome to the Homeowner Prep Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Halan, and this podcast was created to provide real-world advice and accountability for first-time homebuyers. We'll be interviewing industry experts, providing some how-tos, and talking with first-time homebuyers about their personal experiences. If that sounds interesting to you, please be sure to subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the little bell to be notified when new episodes release. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Homeowner Prep Podcast. Thanks so much for checking out today's episode. We're actually going to be talking about some budgeting hacks. And as I say the word budget, I don't want to scare you off here. I know there's a lot of folks who are scared of the B word. But budgeting hacks that can help you achieve any goal specifically. You know, a lot of our goals are linked to, our finances. And there are times when we want something, but we don't necessarily have a plan to get it. And so the budgeting is nothing more than just a spending plan. You know, when you start a business, you'll have a business plan, a marketing plan. But when you're really setting up, a desire to achieve something, you have to put a plan together to get there. And part of that plan is your spending plan. And so we're going to talk today and focus specifically on the spending plan to help you get there, to see, what it's going to take and what it's going to cost for you to achieve certain goals. And then some simple hacks that you can take advantage of to get there faster. So the first thing for me is always about writing out your vision. What is the goal that you're trying to achieve? I know on this podcast specifically, we focus on buying your first home. And so if the vision is that you want to become a homeowner, you need to write it out. Make it clear to yourself. And what I recommend that you would do is actually read that vision in all of its clarity every day and every night. Take some time, write it out specifically in detail so that you can feel it. And then take some time every day before you go to bed, when you wake up, and read it. And better off, read it out loud. Read it out loud with passion and enthusiasm so that you can feel it and you know what you're going after. It might seem kind of corny and silly up front, but trust me, as you get into the thick of achieving a goal, you're going to have obstacles. There's going to be things that you're going to have to go through and overcome. And by focusing on a good habit of just reading that vision out loud each and every day, you'll always have that anchor to come back to. And so writing out that vision, making it plain, and then reading it out loud every day with enthusiasm and passion are actually going to help you no matter what you're going through. And so that'll be the first step as when you start working on a vision for what you're trying to achieve. The next step is to create a simple plan, a simple spending plan. So you don't want to overcomplicate this. You want to know, okay, if the goal is homeownership, how much money do I need to save? How much money do I need to put away? How much money do I need to maybe pay off credit cards or, outstanding credit, things that will hold me back? So those are two things that you'll want to focus on, and having a budget and a spending plan will help you get there. So, what is the simple plan? Well, let's look at things on a weekly basis. I know a lot of budgets, a lot of the experts out there will say, hey, you need to, make a monthly budget, to look at. But I would say, let's take that all the way down to just week by week. Focus on the things that are going to, where's your money going this week? Not where is it going next month, or thinking about the whole month all at one time, because you will overcomplicate it. And so you want to make this budget very, very simple. If it's too hard, you're not going to do it. And you want to create a habit of actually tracking your money. And so, yes, it's good to have a plan of where it's going to go, but also to be tracking it on a weekly basis to know, did it go where you said it would go? So, I know as I've gone through some certified training, some financial coaching training through Dave Ramsey's program, one of the things that he says is, mature adults tell their money where to go. And so that's very important. On a weekly basis, as you set a plan, you need to follow it up with actually tracking to see if your money is going where you said it would go. Another thing to do is to use some apps. use apps and tools that will make your life that much easier. So for me, I use a couple of resources, and we'll make sure that we, add links to our description. But I can track my spending right on my phone. I always have my phone with me. I'm always on the go. And so it's easier for me to just track it in an app versus, getting home and plugging everything into a computer, or even going kind of old school and taking out a notepad and actually writing things down. So figure out what's best for you. My advice there is just to really, really make it simple. Take it in smaller chunks, do it on a week by week basis, and then use some type of tools and resources that'll help you stick to it, The next thing that's a simple hack is a mindset hack. And that is, don't compare your spending to somebody else's. You really want to focus on your lifestyle. So you can look at my budget and say, well, hey, I see where you're spending money, and that is way too much money on Disney. In our family, that's important to us, and that's something that we do as a family. But you may look from the outside in and say, that's way too much money. Where I can look at your budget and say, well, that's too much money here. So the goal is not to compare, figure out what is the lifestyle that you want to have. Obviously, make sure it aligns to that vision of achieving that goal, and then set things into motion and track it and make sure that you're making progress on a week by week basis. So, look at your plan. It's your plan. If you have a spouse, you guys come together and create that plan together. So that exactly you're on the same page, you're in the same paragraph and on the same line, so that way you guys know exactly why you're doing it. And this comes back to, reading that vision every day, because again, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be times where you want to spend some money, where things come up and you want to spend money and enjoy whatever the situation may be. And then you have to reflect back on, why are you doing this? Why are we budgeting? Why are we putting a spending plan together? And let whatever that was, whether it's a trip, or you say, hey, I need a new car. Well, do those things after purchasing your home or achieving that goal. There's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself once you've accomplished a big goal. And so in real estate, we often talk about, it's the house before the car. So you want to buy, the house, and then let the house, especially if it's an investment property or something like that, let that pay for the depreciating asset, which is the car. But whatever the goal may be, maybe it's a vacation, celebrate that. There's nothing wrong with taking that time, making those memories, but let it be the reward for achieving a great goal in your life. So definitely do that. Don't compare your budget with somebody else, but track it on a weekly basis to see where you're at. The next thing that I love to chat with families about are subscriptions and data usage. So more often than not, in our American culture right now, we just have a lot of subscriptions. We have, memberships to things that we just don't use. We have good intentions, but we're not using them. And so are there certain subscriptions or memberships that you can cancel, or maybe that you can share? I know like Netflix caught on to this early, that everybody was sharing the same Netflix account. So now they allow you to share with a certain amount of people. Is there a way where you can share costs with someone, and that way you can share the membership versus paying for your own membership? Are there subscriptions that you have to maybe magazines or whatever the case may be that you don't even read, or you don't use? When it comes to subscriptions and memberships, one of the things that I say to do when I first sit down with families is, let's cancel them and let's see which ones we're really missing, right? Because chances are you have these subscriptions and these memberships, again, with good intentions, you're going to use them, but you're not using them. So if you've gone, a few weeks, a month, a few months, and you haven't even thought about, that subscription, whether it was a magazine or, a gym membership, whatever the case may be that you didn't use anyway, then you're saving that cost, and those costs add up. And it's not just today's value. If something's costing you $20 a month today, then that can be $30, $40 in the future. Because instead of spending that $20, you could be investing that money and letting it earn interest on that $20 a month. So, when it comes to just getting started in investing, a lot of folks say, well, I don't have any money. Well, you do. It's just in those memberships and subscriptions that you're not using. Let's reallocate that money to investing. The other thing that I like to mention is data usage. When was the last time you looked at your energy costs? When was the last time you looked at your cell phone bills or your home internet? Is there an opportunity to downgrade your home internet because you're really not using as much data as you think you are? Or is there an opportunity to where, I can look at my home energy use and look at what times we're actually using that electricity? If you understand, the high peak times of when your home electricity, when they're charging you for those peak times, you may change your habits. You may not wash clothes or wash dishes during certain times. Or if you have, a battery operated, a car that you need to charge, you may not charge it during those times. So take a look at the data usage, take a look at how these companies are billing you, and then figure out some ways to just save some costs just by changing a few habits. And that way you'll save some money that'll add up on a month by month basis. So that's another key for you. Obviously, if there's things that you're using, that you just can't cancel, talk to the companies, figure out, what is the cancellation policy. If you talk to them, sometimes they will actually let you cancel, even though on their website or on the bill statement may say that you're in a contract. They may allow you to at least downgrade or move over to a different program altogether. So talk to them, communicate with them. It's your budget, it's your finances, your spending plan. You have goals that you want to achieve. And in order to get there, it's going to be important that you lock down your spending so that you can allocate your money to where it needs to be versus paying for things that you're not using. So, take full advantage. Don't be afraid to reach out, talk to folks, and see what you can do to make some changes in your day-to-day habits. I hope this information was, vital to you, gave you some tips, some pointers. Obviously, as you start to think about different goals that you want to achieve, especially when it comes to home ownership, you'll need some people to really help and guide you and hold you accountable to that. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us if one of your goals is to purchase a home. We'll connect you with somebody who can help you do that. I hope you learned a few things on today's episode. If you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll catch you next week. Be blessed. I hope you got some value from today's episode. If you know someone who could benefit from hearing this show, be sure to share it with them. And if you're listening to the podcast, we'd love for you to drop us a review. We'd also love to hear from you if you have any questions. So reach out to us on Instagram at Homeowner Prep. Who knows? We may read your review and answer your question on one of our future shows.